And it's been a pleasure working with Blueboard. They were actually one of the sponsors of, for those of you who attended last year, remember when we used to go to events, Dreamforce, the gigantic 1,400 person Dreamforce happy hour that we did. That's actually where we first met the Blueboard team, and we've been partnering with them on a bunch of interesting things, including the summit. So with that, I'll hand it over to Morgan, and she's going to tell us a little bit about Blueboard.
Awesome, Rich. Thank you so much. And does this mean I get 3 extra minutes? I'm just kidding. We'll also keep things moving. If you go to the next slide, Rich, I wanted to actually start everybody off with kind of a nice visual here. And I would love to have you think back to really the coolest, like craziest sales incentive that you've ever gotten to plan for your team. Looking at the photo here, it might kind of get you into the mindset. Maybe one that comes to mind is, helping your top rep sit courtside behind their favorite NBA team. Or maybe something you didn't know about Rich, when he was at mParticle, he used to have his top reps go on stage to introduce celebs like Nas at their annual SKO. Or maybe like Alana on screen, who won a sales contest, she got to use her Blueboard award to fly a plane over the Golden Gate Bridge. Experiences like these are exciting because there's something that you wouldn't have normally otherwise like splurged on for yourself. And they create awesome memories that translate into stories that you get to keep for forever, to share with friends and family. But if you go to the next slide, in this case, Alana had an amazing blast, right? She got to fly a plane over the bridge. She got to take a ton of photos, feel the adrenaline rush as the pilot let her take the wheel. All those things are amazing for building stories, but in the grand scheme of things, she had a great time, but you probably didn't. Because if we go ahead to the next slide, we all know that there's a ton of work that goes into planning exciting spiffs, incentives, or other high-end programs like President's Club, for example. Your job as a sales leader is to drive revenue and to understand how to motivate the right activities that deliver the desired outcomes you need to achieve revenue excellence. And the reward and incentives part, the key component for producing those desired behaviors, the thing that you need to make sure works the hardest for you, can oftentimes create a ton of stress. Why? Because planning incentives is really hard. It's hard to keep things fresh and creative, especially with so many opportunities throughout the year to spiff your reps. It can get daunting to create yet another new game or contest or reward mechanic. And for those that you want to do really well, like the experiences like Alana had, or the guy who got to go on stage to introduce Nas, that stuff is never fast and it's never easy. If we think back to Alana's example, think about all the stages that you would have gone through to actually bring that to life. You are thinking about sending your top rep into the air, right? So you want to source a provider that you know is going to actually bring her safely back to the ground. You'd have to check pricing, logistics, and once that winner is selected, work with them to coordinate like their availability, getting them scheduled, any cancellations that might have come up, so that Alana gets to show up and ultimately have a great time. But as the quarter trudges on, all of that stuff becomes really daunting and stressful. So we ultimately status quo and often go out and buy some gift cards. We effectively hit the easy button. And if we go forward, what we find is that the status quo is actually in direct competition with what your reps need, especially now that we're navigating changing conditions related to coronavirus, the pandemic, and all the literal things that are, catching our world on fire right now. So in today's new normal, there's a few things that your reps actually want and need. They're craving the power of choice, which means the incentives that are most meaningful to them right now. They might have more value or more preference over quality time with their family. They might be wanting to focus on fitness goals since they might have been stuck in their house now for a few months. Or they want to invest time into new desires, passions, and hobbies. And also they're craving connection and community with their teammates, because that's ultimately not happening at the same pace or as organically as it used to while we were all working remotely, just like these scenes on screen. Those experiences are ultimately missing right now. These are experiences that help build stories and that connect all of our teams together through shared passions and interest. So going forward, what happens when your reality doesn't meet the expectations of your rep? Not great things. Ultimately, our reps are less and less motivated to deliver the activities that you need to reach the desired outcomes. And as time goes on and the motivation continues to lag, reps don't feel appreciated, and they might start looking for new roles elsewhere. They might become a flight risk. So as we go forward, the big opportunity is how do we connect your needs with theirs to ultimately craft a program that's just going to crush your sales goals and ultimately meet the needs of you and everyone on your team. So for those of you who are new to Blueboard, like Rich mentioned, we're an experiential rewards and incentives platform. So I'm excited to walk through a little bit more of what that looks like. We can go on to the next slide. Lots of confetti everywhere. So let's start with your goals. If we were to recap from the previous slides, your role and your goals are ultimately to send exciting, motivating incentives with ease of use. So here's a quick look of what it looks like to send rewards with Blueboard. It's super easy. You log into our platform, you choose from 8 different reward levels that range from $150 all the way up to $25,000 for those truly above and beyond moments. You can celebrate with a personal note and achievement, click send, and then let the confetti rain down. Off you go. What we love about our Send app is it's a one-stop shop for managing and reporting on all the utilization activity, as well as the feedback that comes back from your reps to make sure that you're holding your incentive programs accountable. Something that you can't easily do with that ad hoc gift card or cash bonus that you send through. And taking a next step forward, what do we think when we are considering the needs of the experience for the recipient? Ultimately, your sales reps have 2 goals in mind, like we talked about. They want personalization and they want to have connection and community with their teammates. So what happens when you receive a Blueboard award? You get invited to browse a menu of amazing hand-curated experiences. There's hundreds to choose from. They pick their favorite, and then from there, they get to work one-on-one with our concierge team, who's going to handle all the planning, all the logistics, all the payment, basically all the things that used to make your job miserable. You now get to pass that on over to Blueboard. So we're going to take on that heavy lift and ultimately treat them like total rock stars. So what does an experience actually look like? When the coronavirus pandemic hit, we started to quickly reshape our menu to offer in-home experiences. So for your reps that are still uneasy about getting out into the world, there's really amazing surprise and delight opportunities, like investing in a Peloton bike to help focus on fitness goals, or hitting the road with your family to tour a national park, or maybe getting your hands in the dirt and building a DIY backyard garden house just in time for all of your summer produce to bloom. And then for tomorrow, it's all about crossing something off your bucket list, like taking a glassblowing class, eating your way through Michelin star restaurants, or chasing the northern lights in Iceland. And again, we handle all of this with a concierge service. You don't have to do anything. They just get to show up and have an amazing time. And on the connection and community piece, what we love about experiences is that they're ripe for sharing. They're comfortable and exciting to talk about. So as reps go out and about on these adventures, they're collecting memories, content, and stories to share, ultimately fostering organic conversations with their team and creating deeper bonds over those shared passions and interests. If we step forward, there's a few ways that we love to partner together to ultimately deliver on a variety of program types. We'll start with sales incentives and spiffs. So these come to life as monthly, quarterly, or ad hoc contest-based sales incentives, where you can reward through our platform a variety of reward levels to commemorate the activity goals met from your team. Next up is President's Club, which is something I'm super excited to talk about. You might be scratching your head on President's Club. Ultimately, with the pandemic, it's going to be really difficult to get together as a group, and that go-to trip to Costa Rica is probably off the table. But there's ultimately 2 things that you need to consider when you're thinking about a plan B. One, the solution needs to ultimately still feel like a club, and it needs to feel timely, because these are rewards that your reps worked really hard for in 2019, and they ultimately are looking for a reward that they deserve. And that means that you can't just cancel it, and you can't just offer cash, which would feel like any other commission opportunity that they would get throughout the year. You want to create something truly special. So we're partnering with great companies. I'll talk about salesforce.org in just a little bit, to offer an individual choose your own President's Club. So access to all those great experiences I shared on the previous screen, maybe investing in that Peloton bike, maybe chasing the northern lights, that your reps get to choose, and then our concierge team will handle all their planning and logistics for them. Following President's Club, SKO, another group event that might be a little bit curious right now, especially with uncertain plans for 2021. The big thing about SKO is that surprise and delight moment. So how do you think about gifting something truly special to your reps that's going to be shared equally across everybody, that's going to breed a lot of conversation and excitement? So we're offering the opportunity to offer Blueboard gifts in support of your SKO, either giving rewards ahead of time that your reps get to redeem, buzz about on your Slack or Teams page, for example, celebrating all the adventures that they're going on to before they get to bond through the virtual content experience, or using it as a surprise gift that you get to drop at the SKO so that everybody gets this Blueboard award that they get to look forward to and really help to kick off and celebrate the new sales season. And lastly, we'll talk about sales recognition. So this is those ad hoc moments that might extend for above and beyond performance, or those intangibles that your reps might do, living your company values, investing in training and development, or maybe coaching other sales reps. Not to mention the cross-functional teams that really help you close those huge strategic deals. Maybe someone in marketing or product who built a beautiful demo space for you. Using Blueboard to recognize those above and beyond achievements that help everyone in the whole company drive towards your revenue goals. And lastly, while hiring isn't crazy top of mind right now, a lot of companies do use Blueboard as referral incentives. So for those really big hot recs where you need to drive a ton of candidate pipeline, throwing out a Blueboard award as that eye on the prize to get a really great quality of candidates into your network. Going forward, Rich, just a quick view of who we work with. We work with a ton of companies helping to recognize all their top performers from tech to auto, media, and CPG. And what we love about Blueboard is that we're scaled globally to cover hundreds of clients over 60 different countries and servicing rewards across the entire US. So even your remote teammates will get the benefit. And this means we have equality and also consistency in the rewards you serve. So as you serve rewards globally, everyone will have a really wonderful, consistent, and equitable experience. Jumping forward, so what does Blueboard look like in the flesh? We got to see Alana's story on the first few slides, but what about something bigger? What about President's Club? So instead of sending 60 reps and their plus ones to yet the same Costa Rican resort, we worked with Salesforce.org last year, who enabled every President's Club winner to build their own bucket list adventure using our platform. One of our favorite stories is Anuska's here on screen. She decided to redeem her reward for a trip to the Northern Lights with her family, which had been on their bucket list for ages. And we also saw recipients redeem for African safaris, tours of Riviera Maya, or bungee jumping in New Zealand. And what was best and most exciting for their admin is that we brought all of this to life with our concierge team. So all Anuska had to do, all the other reps had to do was just show up and have the experience of their lifetime. So in closing, we went through all of that really quickly. So I wanted to offer an opportunity to stay in touch. And at the end of the day, we're really excited for the opportunity to partner with you to build a program that's exciting, motivating, and ultimately takes all the heavy lifting off your shoulders. So I welcome you to do a few things to stay in touch. One, head on over to our Slack channel. We'll be there with our team to share some resources and conversation. You can check out blueboard.com and request a demo, which will put you in touch live with our sales team. And we're also partnering up with MSP again next Friday for a speed networking event. So we'll drop that link into our Slack channel. We'd love to see you there and have continued conversation together.